Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We are in the process of increasing the size of the government to make it a government which governs more. We're still using a lot of the construction queue on government constructions, but that's okay, because we got a lot of government admin to build. After that, we got our gold mines in Borneo slated in Brunei, and then after that, we've got our steel mills going. And then we got a few more universities to do before I'm done building more universities. I got a lot of universities. I'm experiencing large tech spread at this stage. 14 from unspent innovation. I want to get that up a little further, because what that's going to do is that's going to just slowly generate tons of extra tech for us. Hey, there's canneries. Beautiful. Oh. And we finally completed the Atmo pump engine. Through the widespread introduction of the atmospheric engine in the mining industry, productivity is at an all-time high. When steam first began to pump and wheels go round at so many revolutions per minute, what are called business habits were intended to make the life of a man run in harmony with the steam engine, and his movement rival the engine in punctuality. I'm sure we can squeeze a little more from these machines. 1/3 extra mine throughput. This has great implications for transport, progress on railways, or perhaps there's even a better way, progress on water tube boiler. So I think getting more from those machines for a little while would be nice, but I think right now I need to catch up on tech, because it's almost the 1860s, and I'm still not fully... I'm not anywhere near caught up, and I need to be something near caught up. Now, I still don't have the ability to institute schools, and I've got nobody who's interested in doing that. The literati don't want to? Oh! The literati of China are not anti-clerical, so they don't care about education. And the Confucian scholars are not theocratists, so they don't care about education either. So none of it's going to happen until I've got the trade unions. Oh, that's... Or the industrialists. Because the industrialists like private schools. And they like public schools better than no schools. I don't know if they'll institute public schools, but I could potentially use them. Sorry, it turned out I was just hanging around in Japan. Alright, let's get this going here. Actually, before we do anything else, I was thinking about taking Siam as a protectorate. They've got a defensive pact with France, though, and I don't love that. As well as the Netherlands. The Netherlands I'm not really worried about, but France is a factor. What are the chances France will actually step in? Yeah, France will for sure step in. Alright, what about Burma? They've only got a defensive pact with the Seh, and I'm not really worried about them. If I make them a tributary, a Seh will step in. France will not. Britain will not. Siam, Cambodia, Denmark, or Dutch East Indies could all step in, but I don't think any of them is really going to cause an issue for me. So let's do this. Burma, you're going to be my tributary. French attitude changed. It's now protective, it was cooperative. Alright, well that's okay. We'll take our largest, most technologically advanced army and put them into the situation. And then I think we'll take one more of these large armies to get them in. I don't think there's going to be any greater need for military strength on this than these forces. I could sway Britain, but I don't necessarily need their help on this. And this will help our economy pretty well long term. Now, Joseon, I haven't reduced your subject payments. It'll reduce by 4K. Joseon is currently providing me with 12K. I think I can probably afford that. I think once my government is realigned and made proper, I'll be able to reduce Joseon's payments. Again, I almost always want to be reducing subject payments. I think when you're a huge economy and they're a very small economy, there's very little overall benefit to your nation and subject system, your empire, your imperial system. Okay, nobody's doing it. There's very little benefit to your imperial system of squeezing these tiny subjects. Like, that 4K would be disproportionately useful to Joseon in terms of improving their economy. And their economy's pretty good. And the bigger their economy gets, the better that is for me. So, I think we're just going to go ahead and hit that button. Greece is improving relations. Wonderful. And Joseon is now loyal. That's good. Historically, China did not have a great policy towards Korea when Korea was a subject of China, but in this game, we're striving to do a little better. Not much better. We're not going to let them be free or anything, but you know. Alright, and they're sending their armies as well. This force comparison is very good. I'm not super worried about the whole situation. Not worried about it one bit. I am... Oh, interesting. Burma was selling me fruit or something. Alright, looks like these battles are going just fine, so this war should be sorted out in very good order. In a pretty reasonable time frame, I feel like. Now, potentially, I could grab Jammu and the Khalsa Raj. I could start expanding this way, get myself some more tributaries. I think that would be fun. I think it's better to have tributaries than it is to have, to be taking territory, because again, I don't have the... My government is so, is too short on bureaucracy to be able to actually fully incorporate even all the territory that I've taken. Can-do attitude. Soldiers are complaining that they have no way to open their canned food. Sure, the food's a bit better, but what's the point if we can't get at it, eh? Some lads use rocks, others knives. The only reliable thing is how bloody annoying it is to eat. Spend some money to develop a way, 16k over 5 years, or they'll figure it out, salty armed forces. I'm gonna let them figure it out. It's fine. Ooh, and I unlocked banking. That gives me a big old bonus to minting. Excellent. I also figured out... No, you are playing. I also figured out canning, so it would be more effective. Canning meat or canning fish? Canning fish, but only by a little bit. So we'll can fish. Would pot stills be profitable? They would be. Let's do it. And then steel mills. I do have Bessemer process unlocked. Tooling workshops. I can't go to steel tools until I've got my steel mills. What is lead? What's the lead market looking like? Where's lead? Lead is dirt cheap, which is good. I think I may only have one mine. And there's Burma sorted out. Yep, they only have the one mine. Let's go ahead and slowly start changing glassworks over to the new method. And that will encourage the private sector to build mines. And that will be good. Now, I could go to precision tools with my furniture manufactories, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm necessarily going to do that. Luxury clothes are quite expensive. That's really interesting. Are clothes themselves also expensive? They are. Alright, so that makes sense. So the private sector is covering that, that need. So that's very good. Now, government admin-wise, I may be about to overshoot the mark a little bit. So I may cancel some of these. But it would also potentially be useful to have a little bit of extra government admin kicking around. Just in case I ever decide to, you know, have an institution. Because having an institution does feel like something... That does feel like something I would do. Obviously, we have a great deal of institutions in the, you know, the older sense, but in the grand scheme of things, we still don't have that many. Alright, investment pool is not it's currently growing pretty quickly, but it's not growing in the sense that the investment pool is not increasing to the tune of, like, beyond what's needed to use the construction capacity that's available. So what that tells me is that I don't necessarily need to increase the size of the construction sector. I can probably leave it. With that said, I'm very far in the black right now and getting better all the time because I'm solving my bureaucracy problems. So I might want to just increase construction sectors just a little bit more. No bread, no freedom. Our prohibitive import tax on cereal grains has made it difficult for the poor to afford bread, with people in Beijing approaching the starvation line. They say the tariffs are in place to protect every Qing farmer from falling wages and starvation, that without them the markets would be flooded with bread we'd be too poor to buy. To that I say to hell with tariffs. I'm already starving. At least without them there might be a bread a starving man could steal. The poor too must reap the benefits of our policies, extra minimum wage, or they must bear with it for the economy. 2% of lower starting pops become more radical. I'm going to increase the minimum wage. That just seems like good sense. We did it, friends. Speaking of which, though, now that I'm thinking on it, I had mild starvation before, and I built a bunch of farms. I didn't really check back in to see how things went. No ongoing famines. Show starvation on map. Okay, we do have some starvation in Altai, and some in... Hey, there's romanticism. Beautiful. So this unlocks greener grasses campaigns. So I could run one of those in North Heilongjiang. Do I want to do that? Well, let's take a look at the gold mines. The gold mines are still having a hard time hiring. And building more coal mines is not necessarily going to help with that. So, I'm already running a road maintenance decree here. I'll be able to solve that eventually. But for now, let's do a greener grasses campaign. And we've got egalitarianism spreading. That is excellent. That's wonderful. I think after we do dialectics, I'm going to circle back to railways to get those unlocked. Unfortunately, we have fractional distillation spreading to us. That's not a great tech. Like, it's nice, but it's not great. Get that going again. So we've had a little adventure in Burma. I'm not going to reduce... I could reduce subject payments. Their economy is not large. I'm going to reduce subject payments. Relations are not great, and as a result, their desire for autonomy is going up, but it will be going up less later as we improve relations. Getting very close to being over the line on my government admin, so I'm going to cancel a gold mine in Borneo. I'm going to start canceling some of these government admins. I think 5 will be enough. That'll just get me a nice little buffer. And then we'll put the these gold mines back into construction. Oh, there's actually more capacity than there's ever been. With that having been said, we'll put those at the bottom of the queue for now. Because I think this other stuff in China is more important. I want to get tool output increased and all that all that delicious stuff. Now I'm thinking about it. Henan. I do maybe want a little bit more government. Nah, I can get exactly 1. That's fine. Where are you building? You're building in Xi'an. And I'm building up to exactly an even number there as well. So, you know, that's fine. I'm the greatest. Alright, and that'll give me a buffer of something like, you know, 150 bureaucracy to play with. And if I need more for trade, then so be it. I will build more. So, let's take a quick look at the private construction queue. Private construction queue is building pretty solidly now. It looks like they are still using as much of the construction capacity as they can afford to do. They're building up a little bit of a buffer. So, it might be time to start building a little bit more construction. I think Southern Manchuria... No, not in Southern Manchuria. Let's build in Shandong. Just 2 levels. We're not going to get too creative here. We're going to throw these into the top of the queue, but we're going to finish the government admins first. And after that, just a little bit more government capacity will wear away some of my my additional cash flow, but it will also ensure that my private construction queue can still build everything it desires to build, and that this investment pool, which is going up every week at this point, doesn't completely empty out. Or it doesn't completely... the opposite of empty out, that it keeps emptying. Oh, City of Plenty. So we've seen this event before, and hopefully we're going to get this more and more. The most prominent members of Eastern Hubei high society have been seen organizing luxurious parties in the new and lavish urban buildings. Marble walls, shimmering stone. The noise of people coming and going brings the city back to life, and we didn't even know it was dead. Tall buildings cover the sunset. Kids play with bricks. Smoke blends with the clouds, and a distant bell announces the next train. Progress is coming. Eastern Hubei is here. So let's take a look at the population situation. The upper stratum is affluent. Their minimum expected is 17, close to 18, but that's completely fine. So once again, our options are 10% upper and middle stratum pops become more loyal, or the party will never end, which is 25% instead, but it increases the minimum expected standard of living for 9 years, meaning that we need to maintain high standards of living for the upper strata. But the upper strata's standard of living is huge here, so the party will never end. Give me a little bit of extra standard of living to play with. Again, not that crucial of an issue, but just something that's useful. Having extra standard of living and loyalists among the upper classes is like disproportionately powerful because there's so few of them. That it's something one needs to focus on. Oh, they're building arts academies. Uh-oh. The private sector often builds arts academies in a way that is, in my humble opinion, not that great. Not that useful. So I still have starvation in Altai. Oh, interesting. I thought I built... Oh, I don't have the infrastructure here. That's really rough. Well, nothing I can do about that, not until I got railways, and those aren't till after I finish dialectics. And dialectics is going to put my tech spread through the roof. I'm also slowly increasing in literacy. I do want to increase literacy, but not... It's not an urgent priority. Again, who supports schools? The industrialists? Yeah, it's only the industrialists. I need to have the industrialists in power before I can achieve any kind of education. Chiang Mai. What happened to our relations? Because our rejection of slavery has led to their slaves fleeing to our territory for freedom. Well, Chiang Mai... Maybe you should not have slavery. I see. If they got the landowners in power, and they're headed up by a slaver, but these guys are... These guys care about slavery? I guess not. I'm not going to worry about it. The scholar officials petition the government. Representing his constituents in the scholar officials, Chen Peng has issued a formal petition to the Qing government to pass dedicated police force. One last matter for the day, sir. Members of your constituency arrived this morning. They're asking rather loudly and insistently if you would meet with them about new legislation. Well, is that it? Goodness, you seem as if you've seen a ghost. I'm sure I can spare the last hours of the light for them, can't I? I believe so, sir. They weren't taking no for an answer. We'll see what we can do, or they must understand the present situation does not allow for this. I really want to say no again. They're very happy. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Because I'm going to need to build a lot of government in order to be able to afford to do this, and that's not a productive use of my construction capacity right now. I know this seems really silly, and I am going to want dedicated police force eventually, but for now, it's too much. I don't even have... How far away am I from having central archives, is I guess the real question. I am currently researching Tier 2 technology. If I research this right now, it'll be 28 months, and it will create a modernization movement. That's interesting. Standardized filing system will increase my total bureaucracy by a pretty respectable amount. Let me see, 141. Yeah, it'll be about enough, but it will obviously cost twice as much paper. How much is that? Goods for government buildings, line item 4. That's goods for military buildings. Goods for government buildings, the line item for paper is 124k. It's 60k. It's not worth it. There's no way it's going to be worth it. No, unfortunately. You must understand the present situation does not allow for this. My government is too legitimate for that. Now if we get voting rights, that does give us progress on our acquiring recognition thing. Oh, interesting. We can get a little... I didn't even realize this. I can get a little breakdown on this. -1 from low literacy rate. -1 from GDP per capita below 50. -1 from standard of living below top 50. Alright. But I can get away from that using voting rights. But I can't do... Oh, because authoritarians like autocracy. That's why. All right, so his individual ideology is subverting the general ideology of the literati. So that's why I can't do that. Do the petit bourgeois care about voting rights? They certainly don't. All right. Well, it is what it is. These guys care about voting rights, right? Right? You care about voting rights? You care about taxation. You care about the army model. Not about voting rights. Alright, well, we're not getting voting rights anytime soon, then. Russia began embargoing us. Well, gorsh, Shaggy. Russia, why would you do this? Why are you so belligerent towards me? We should have better relations. Oh, I'm embargoing them. Well, that'll do it. Russia is not a threat. But having good relations with Russia could be... I'm not going to bother improving relations with Russia right now. The Bohai Gulf fleet has increased in size, and I think maybe I'll increase their size once again. Because I want to be able to use this fleet for invasions. And on top of that, we should add more units to this army. In particular, more mobile artillery. Do we want to just put those in the capital? I don't want to necessarily do that. Let's put them in Shandong. It's going to be a nice even 10 levels. I do want to eventually put some Lancers into this army, so we'll do that as well. And we'll put those in Jiangsu. I know military expansion is not ideal with what I'm working with right now immediately, but I think it is useful to have a large and effective army that I can use, for example, to naval invade Japan. Not that I'm saying I would naval invade Japan, necessarily, but I would naval invade Japan, potentially. They do have some line infantry, so I gotta be careful. What would it take to... I can't turn them into a... Oh, right, because they're an unrecognized major, just like me. In fact, they're only one rank lower than me, those bastards. It's not really Japan who's the bastards. It's really all the great powers, all the recognized powers, hogging the top spots when, by all rights, by prestige, I would be north of France. So, you know, I shouldn't paint Japan as the primary, as the primary reason I'm not sitting on top of the prestige trackers here. Let's not be ridiculous. But they are a country that I have attempted to invade previously in history and could do so again. I kind of want them to colonize Sakhalin first, though. They usually do. And if they do, then I don't need to, because I can't afford to have institutions right now. I'm running a lean, mean government machine. In fact, how's the investment pool? I can afford more construction. I can afford more construction by a lot. Let's pull up Shandong. Ooh, shell gun unlocked. And Xi'an as well. Maybe we'll even go up to 30. Maybe I'll get absolutely buck wild. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to increase the size of the construction sector by a huge amount. Is this silly? Maybe. It's going to cost us some more money, but it's also going to be used by the investment pool, because the investment pool is currently banking close to £2 million. They should be using more, and the fact that they're not using more is down to the fact that there's not enough investment, enough construction capacity to make use of all the investment that they are capable of injecting into the economy. Shanxi, Altai, and Alxa are low on access. Alxa I can't do anything about. Shanxi I can't do anything about either. Not in long terms. When we get egalitarianism, maybe I don't need to rush egalitarianism. Maybe I actually need railroad more. But egalitarian. No, you know what? I need railways. Egalitarianism is spreading. It'll finish out on its own. After that, we'll go to dialectics and increase our tech spread. But railway actually is feeling increasingly necessary. As you can see, our cash flow is going down as we build more government stuff, more construction sectors. But also, the amount that it's not going down that much, and that's because more and more of it is being used by the private sector, which is what we want. I am back down to 0 infamy, which means I could do a little bit of expansion west of here. Jammu is subject to the Khalsa Raj. So I could demand their transfer. 30% chance they accept. I might be willing to do it. Nepal might step in, but that wouldn't necessarily bother me. This would be 8 infamy. Let's do it. They did not say yes. Fine. If Nepal steps in, we'll take them as a protectorate as well. Their army is significantly larger than Burma's, so we'll send a force as well. What kind of infantry do they have? They have line infantry and mobile artillery. Okay, so they've got a real army over there. In fact, there is a very slight possibility that I've bitten off more than I can chew. Or at the very least, this is going to be much more costly to me than I anticipated in a way that could cause a problem. With that having been said, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I'm going to send a huge pile of armies there. I remain short on ammunition, which is something I can solve, but well, perhaps solving it sooner rather than later is the right call. Anhui has a starvation problem, is what it has. Plenty of labor, plenty of infrastructure. Let's build up Anhui a little bit. Well, it doesn't have any of the input resources. Then again, I don't think almost any of my areas have the input resources. So, you know what? We'll do Anhui. We'll build fertilizer plants and explosives factories and munitions plants. And then what we'll do is we'll queue these to the end of all this business. So those will get built as soon as the steel mills are done. Now, I do have one steel mill running, which means I have the ability to get onto steel tools for some of my tooling. So let's go ahead and do that. This is going to cost 60 steel, which is about the right amount. Or no, my steel's, they output 90. So I can afford to do a little bit more with that. Obviously that gives me a steel shortage, but that steel shortage is not going to last that long. 62, not as good of a ratio as I was hoping. Let's take the Border Blue Banner Army and put them in the area as well, just to make sure. You know, we don't want any surprises here. Now, what if I throw... Is Khalsa Raj an unrecognized major? They're not. They're an unrecognized regional. Why can I not take them as a protectorate. I don't have an interest. That's why. In fact, I got a lot of interest since I've been expanding my navies. So let's declare some more interests. I can get an interest in Canada, Gran Colombia. Let's put one in Zanj, one in Arabia. I'll do one in Bengal. We want to look into Oceania generally, and then we'll just leave one open for now. That'll be nice. That'll be fun. That said, we're about to go into this war pretty soon, but that is actually all the time we have got for this episode. So, we had a pretty productive episode. We got ourselves back into the black financially. We are still, the investment pool is still increasing in size, which means we could still potentially increase the size of the construction sector even further. We'll see. For now, though, I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.